Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I want to talk a bit about the World War III hype that's circulating the internet right now. So let's get to it. All right, so a lot of people get really passionate about this issue, and I think it's because there's a lot of people who have been preparing for this for some time. Since the Cold War era, there's a lot of old-timer preppers out there who've long since anticipated some sort of global conflict on a scale involving the world superpowers, be they Russia, China, the United States. And I think some people get a little overexcited when it comes to World War III. There is a little G.I. Joe in everybody, and everybody likes a little bit of competition. We are a warlike species, it would seem. So it seems that some people have a lot of fervor when they speak about, the coming World War III. And I think in the last week, I've seen more WW3 videos than I've seen in a long time. I know there's been a lot of stories coming out about Russian military exercises involving 40 million of their citizens. But, you got to understand that there's propaganda on both sides. And I really do suspect that a lot of the Russian saber rattling is just that. It's very in line with the art of war philosophy that when you are weak, appear strong. So, you're going to be calling home, all of the family members from abroad and stuff like that. How legitimate is that? I don't know. You'd think that would be something that they would keep under the radar. I'm just trying to keep a level-headed approach about this because chances are there's a 90% chance that next year we'll be talking about the same thing. Like, let's get realistic. There is that slim chance that this could, escalate pretty quickly. And in that case, then you can have bragging rights, but you're not going to have many people to brag to, unfortunately. The first thing you got to keep in mind with all of this stuff is the saying that war is a racket. And there's nothing more true than that. It's been known for some time that there's this thing called the military-industrial complex, and there's numerous corporations that benefit from the proliferation of weaponry, especially nuclear weaponry, because that is a multi-billion, trillion, gazillion dollar industry. In fact, the United States budget alone is $500 trillion, and that's down significantly. If you factor in all the associated costs, it's probably more like $1 trillion. The United States black budget for the intelligence agencies anyways is $50 billion. Now that's just what we know about. And what a black budget is, that's basically money that's used for clandestine operations, equipment, technology that we don't know about, all manner of stuff like that. Now, the fact is, it's probably a lot more than that, and that is just every year. No military strategist is going to disavow all of their plans, much less their entire arsenal. So when somebody gets on YouTube and acts as if they're privy to all of the top secret weapons, plans, strategy of the United States or any of these other countries involved, you need to take what they're saying with a grain of salt, because the fact is all of us have access to the same thousands of articles that get filtered through the same old 6 media agencies every day. Nobody knows where the real bunkers are that they're never going to tell anybody about. Why would you broadcast where your bunkers are or how many warheads you have? That's a problem I've always intuitively had with this idea of the US or Russia disclosing how many nukes they have. I think that idea is absolutely absurd. But just the idea that you think that they would tell you what they have or what their plans were is total bullshit. It's straight up 100% bullshit. Probably a lot of it is actually disinformation to take you away from the actual truth of the matter. On top of that, if they ever did push the button and they launched the nukes, you likely wouldn't know about it until they were inbound, because they're not going to create a panic. They need to be able to move around all their resources prior to anything like that. And by they, I mean the government, the military, whatever special interests are going to be involved there and people who are going to be privy or in the know to these things. I'm talking about the elites. I'm talking about the people who run the show in our world. They're going to be the ones who are going to have that opportunity to get the jump on everything. You're never going to see, the emergency broadcast system come on a week before the escalation of events and start telling people to go out and prepare. That would just create pandemonium, chaos in the streets. They're never going to tell you when shit is going to hit the fan. They're never going to tell you when shit is going to hit the fan. They're never going to tell you when shit is going to hit the fan. That is part of the whole game of preparedness. And that is why this is a game of chess, because you cannot rely on the media, on the television, to actually tell you when shit is going to hit the fan, because there's no interest for them to do that. There's no reason why they would do it. And they would probably rationalize it that we would be a greater danger to ourselves if they would let us know. Of course, most of us would call that bullshit, but that's just the way it is. So you have the wealthy business interests behind the scenes who benefit off war profiteering. It's called the military-industrial complex, in case you didn't know. There is the filters, the media filters, the fact that you're probably not going to know when they push the button, and you're probably only going to know when the missiles are inbound. You have the fact that you don't know what the strategy is. You don't know what the top secret military information is. We really don't know what's going on exactly with Syria. Yes, it's essentially, it seems to be boiling down to it's a proxy war between Russia and the United States for domination over resources, etc. But there's still a lot more to it than that, potentially, because to complicate matters further, you seem to have the G20, where you have these global leaders who appear, at least on the surface, to be engaging in some form of dialogue and economic relations on some level. Just the fact that we have global trade to the extent that we do now should tell you that lots of people stand to benefit, more so they do from actually letting the nukes loose. Not many people are going to benefit if they start nuking the place. That's just a reality. You got to watch out for the panic buying, because it's times like these where you're going to see prepping supply stores orders go through the roof because of this World War III rhetoric that's going on right now. There may come a time where it may be highly beneficial for you to go out and dump a significant amount of money on preparedness items. I'm not saying you should do that right now. For one, if I said that, I would be a fearmonger. And number two, I don't genuinely believe that is the case right now. I don't think we're that close to mutually assured destruction just yet. If you had 99% proof that the United States and Russia, there was an imminent world war brewing, then yes, it would be in your best interest to go out and dump as much of your money, resources, credit as you could on preparedness items: food, water, ammunition, medical supplies. Those four things: beans, bullets, band-aids, brains, body. Get whatever you have to do done, medical procedures, whatever you can. Do that before the doomsday clock approaches midnight, of course. And if all else, buying a 20-kilogram bag of rice, if that's all you got, at least that's going to take you through a few weeks. It's better than nothing. And going out and getting something like that right now is always going to be a practical bet, because you're always going to be eating rice at some point down the road. You really can't go wrong just going and buying food. Food, water are probably some of the most practical preparedness items that you can buy. I know some people are going to say ammo, but it gets to a point where ammo is a little impractical too if you have several thousand rounds. I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare it, but I'm just saying that food and water is probably priority for everybody, or should be. And of course, having some sort of fallout plan, because the fact is, most of you, if there was a nuclear exchange on that scale, would not be alive after it. Neither would I, potentially, depending on where these nukes struck. Now, with regards to the mutually assured destruction thing, I've heard different theories about how the nukes are more surgical and tactical now, that they wouldn't have to necessarily destroy the entire planet, that they could take out their enemies in such a way that they could go in afterwards, colonize, get a handle on things, maybe even prevent hundreds of nuclear power plants from going into meltdown and completely, irradiating the entire planet. Yes, I've heard theories like that. Do I think that's true? Not necessarily. I think that what we've been told for the most part about nuclear war is probably true. It would be very horrific. Most of us would not last. I think we'd be thrust back into the Stone Age. You're not going to see a lot of things manufactured for a long, long time. That is taking raw materials from nature and converting them into something usable that we now would recognize in our modern civilization as a tool or food or whatever. Yes, there might be some horticulture depending on, how good the soil is after something like that. So yes, there's lots of information and there's lots of YouTubers who have spent lifetimes researching all of the different angles of surviving a nuclear war, and I don't proclaim to be an expert on that. But again, a lot of that is theory too, so anybody who does proclaim to be an expert, take it with a grain of salt. So anyways, guys, I want you to take care out there, and some of the other video projects I've had on the go have been delayed a bit just because of these current events that are going on. Gangs of the Collapse will be a bit delayed. Got some gear reviews and all the rest, all the usual stuff coming right at you. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
Check out the Canadian Preppers Network blog, an excellent resource for survivalists and preppers.